At first glance, The Amazing World of Gumball might seem like just another lighthearted kids' cartoon, but dig a little deeper, and you'll uncover some of the darkest, most unsettling episodes ever aired on children's TV. We're talking stories filled with existential dread, eerie questions about reality, and much more. So today, we're counting down the 10 most disturbing episodes, starting off strong with the puppets. And get this, some of the creators behind Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared worked on it. Yeah, it's that creepy. The episode kicks off with Gumball and Darwin rummaging through the attic, where they come across a box of old, creepy puppets. Gumball wants no part of them. But Darwin? He secretly swipes them, despite not even having pockets, and sneaks them away. Once Gumball's out of sight, Darwin begins playing with the puppets, naming them Frank and Howdy, and doing their voices himself. Somehow, he ends up gaslighting himself into swearing he'll never take them off. Only Darwin could pull something that ridiculous. At school, things get weird fast. Darwin struggles with basic tasks like eating, because, well, his hands are now puppets. When Gumball mocks them at lunch, the puppets' eyes narrow, filled with rage. Yep, something's definitely off. Then Darwin starts throwing insults at Gumball, but it's clear he's uncomfortable, like he's not in control of what he's saying. Thinking Darwin's just being rude, Gumball smacks him with his meat. Wait, number rewind. Not like that.
At least that solves the problem of how to eat without your hands.
That night, things go full-on bizarre. Darwin bathes with the puppets to stay true to his promise. When Gumball catches him having a full-blown conversation with them, the puppets snap and attack him. Darwin isn't Darwin anymore. Gumball rips the puppets off and tosses them in the trash. Problem solved? Not even close. Because later that night, the puppets crawl out of the garbage. This time, speaking in new, unsettling voices that aren't Darwin's.
Frank, you okay? You don't look quite...
Back at home, strange banging noises echo through the house. Naturally, Gumball goes to investigate. When he gets downstairs, he catches one of the puppets destroying his gaming console. And who's holding the puppet now? Still Darwin, but something feels off. The puppets now say Darwin's gone silent. He's no longer with us. He's trapped in their dimension. The only way to bring him back, Gumball has to step into their world. So he slides a puppet onto his hand, and just like that, he's pulled into their twisted reality. Total Don't Hug Me. I'm Scared energy. Now Gumball is a puppet himself. The world he lands in is colorful and cheerful on the surface, but that's exactly what makes it so disturbing. It's a mask hiding something deeply wrong. As Gumball wanders through this make-believe landscape, he spots familiar things with eyes. Old childhood toys now turned into creepy, sentient beings. Eventually, he reaches the house where Darwin is, sitting beside life-sized versions of Frank and Howdy. Yeah, this is easily one of the most unsettling visuals this show has ever given us. The scene screams, Darwin is stuck here forever, and the bright, childish setting just makes it creepier. Gumball bursts in, ready to rescue his friend, but then Grady appears, calmly revealing that everything has been a trap. The doors slam shut, locking Gumball and Darwin in an empty room. And now, the true horror begins. We now see the puppets toying with Gumball and Darwin, gleefully explaining their plan to torment them forever. Luckily, Darwin notices a loose thread, and pulling it causes the puppets to completely unravel. What follows is a series of deeply unsettling shots of the puppets falling apart in creepy, glitchy fashion. That's when Gumball and Darwin realize something huge. This whole world runs on their imagination. So naturally, they do the most logical thing: blow it all to bits and make a run for it. Later that day, the boys hold a casual yard sale and sell the cursed puppets to a random kid, basically passing the nightmare along to some poor soul in the next generation. A real heartwarming ending, huh? The idea of toys gaining life, hijacking your mind, and trapping your soul in their reality forever? Yeah, that's the stuff of nightmares. But if you thought that was creepy, the next episode cranks the horror even higher. Coming in at number 9, we've got The Downer. It begins with Gumball waking up in the worst mood imaginable. And instead of dealing with it, he does what any dramatic protagonist would. He spreads his misery to everyone around him. Then, in peak main character energy, he makes a wish that everyone would just disappear so he could finally be alone. And it actually happens. Right before his eyes, his entire family vanishes. No more friends, no classmates, no people. Just Gumball, left behind in a silent, post-apocalyptic version of Elmore. This episode taps into a deeply unsettling concept known as liminal space, places that are usually full of life, like schools or streets, but shown completely empty. And it's surprisingly terrifying. There's just something deeply unnerving about all of this, if you ask me. At first, Gumball seems to love the chaos. He races through the empty streets, yelling like a maniac, scarfing down junk food, and doing whatever comes to mind with zero consequences. For a moment, he's living the dream. But that high doesn't last long. After a few minutes, it hits him. This is actually terrifying. The whole town feels wrong, too quiet. Every building is deserted, and even the background music is weirdly off. Suddenly, it dawns on Gumball that wishing away everyone might not have been such a brilliant idea after all. That's when things take a creepy nosedive. He steps outside and notices that everything has changed. Joyful Burger? Now it's Misery Burger. Captain Crunch? Rebranded as Captain Crud. The local economy? Total disaster. But honestly, that one's not even that shocking. Then we see it. The twisted, glitched out version of Gumball's face that's been haunting this whole episode. It returns and starts making him say sinister things. From there, the darkness creeps in, literally. Shadows begin swallowing up Elmore, inch by inch. Gumball runs, trying to escape, until he's backed into a corner of his own home, surrounded by pitch black nothingness. But hold up, he's not dead. Not yet, anyway. Everything's just dark. So Gumball starts feeling around, trying to figure out where he is, until he grabs something squishy. Yo, what is my dude touching right now? Thankfully, it's just the couch. Crisis averted, for now. Gumball starts brainstorming ways to escape the pitch-black void, until he suddenly remembers one of his dad's wise sayings. When you're feeling low, just swing back into it. Boom. Instantly, the world resets. Everything's back to normal. But plot twist, Gumball had been sleepwalking this entire time. Hold on. You're telling me he wasn't just grabbing the sofa back there? Suspicious. This episode is genuinely nightmare fuel. Like, how did Cartoon Network greenlight this level of psychological horror for kids? The deserted town, the creeping void. This could have been straight out of a creepypasta thread. It's a 10 out of 10 episode for sure, but I'd never want to live through it. Anyway, coming in at number 8, we've got The Burden. The episode kicks off in Principal Brown's office, and from the jump, something feels wrong. The man is literally in the middle of waxing his fur. That alone would traumatize anyone. And unfortunately, Gumball and Darwin are now stuck with that mental image forever. But before they can scrub their brains clean, Brown hands them a task. Look after the school hamster, Chris Morris, for the weekend. And then the show hits us with a full, uninterrupted 10-second shot of Chris Morris, just staring into the camera. Menacingly. I already don't trust this guy. He looks like he's witnessed horrors no living creature should ever see. And, true to form, Gumball and Darwin instantly prove they're the worst pet sitters imaginable. So Gumball and Darwin are now stuck with Chris Morris for the entire weekend. Fast forward to the next day. Gumball's out on a date with Penny, doing his usual "look how cool I am" routine. But for some reason, he thinks it's a great idea to bring the hamster along. Why? Who knows? Maybe he thought pet sitting would make him look responsible. Spoiler, it doesn't. They spend the whole day babysitting what they think is Chris Morris. Until, thanks to a mix of bad luck, lazy writing, and sheer idiocy, they realize they've been carrying around a clump of Principal Brown's fur. Yep, an actual hairball. That's what they've been pampering all day. Meanwhile, the real Chris Morris is out there, roaming the streets, doing who knows what. So the boys race back to school to track him down. But this won't be easy. Chris Morris isn't your average hamster. This dude's operating on another level. He slips through the shadows like a demon-possessed ninja rat. Gumball and Darwin keep trying to catch him, but every time they get close, he's either already gone or somehow behind them. He walks at the speed of molasses, but still manages to stay ahead like he's got cheat codes. After a chaotic chase, they finally corner him in Principal Brown's office. Just when it seems like the police are about to bust Gumball and Darwin for hamster negligence, Chris Morris unexpectedly saves them. He waves them over and hides them in a cabinet with him. Gumball and Darwin are baffled. Why would this terrifying little furball help them? Turns out, Chris Morris didn't want them to end up trapped, because that's how he's felt, locked in a cage his whole life. Who would have thought such a messed up episode could wrap up on such a wholesome note? Gumball and Darwin thank Chris Morris for his heroic move and decide to set him free in the wild. Will he make it there? Eventually. Give him a few weeks, maybe months. While he waddles his way back to nature, let's move on to the 7th darkest episode, The Limit. This one kicks off pretty normally. Or, well, Gumball normal. Which means you already know things are about to get completely chaotic. The Wattersons are out grocery shopping, and Nicole lays down one clear rule: no candy. And the moment she says that, it's game over. Especially with Richard in the mix. Gumball, Darwin, and Aeneas instantly turn into little sugar-hungry goblins, scheming every possible way to sneak some candy into the cart. But every plan flops. Badly. Now desperate and fully unhinged, they stage a full-on rebellion against their mom. And that's when Nicole snaps. Like, fully loses it. She morphs into a terrifying rage monster and starts chasing them through the store. The animation style changes. Her movements become jerky and unnatural. Her face, straight up nightmare fuel. That's when the kids realize they've pushed things too far. They've unleashed the limit. Yes, the title finally makes sense. At one point, things get so out of control that a security guard tases Nicole. Yep, this is still a kids' show. But the taser? It does absolutely nothing. Nicole just tanks it. And then, because she hasn't been terrifying enough already, she stares down the poor guard and somehow ages him 50 years with one look. How does that even work? Gumball logic, I guess. At this point, Nicole is operating on a level that defies all cartoon physics. She's gone full beast mode. Gumball and Richard start panicking as she charges straight at them, until she crashes headfirst into a layer of plastic wrap they'd set up. Then Darwin and Aeneas flank her from the other side with another sheet, trapping her like a wild animal in a cling film cage. It's only when Nicole catches a glimpse of herself in a mirror that she stops. She sees what she's turned into, a monster. Realizing she's gone too far, she apologizes to her family and they all head home. But plot twist, the kids still get their candy in the end, as a reward from the store clerk. So, technically, mission accomplished. One thing's for sure, I never want to end up on Nicole Watterson's bad side. Ever. Anyway, sliding into the 6th spot, we've got The Dream. The episode begins with Gumball waking up in a full-blown rage. Why? Because he just had the worst dream imaginable. In it, Darwin, his best friend, his roommate, possibly his brother, steals his girlfriend. Gumball wakes up feeling totally betrayed, and like any emotionally stable person, he decides to stay mad at Darwin in real life. Because clearly, that makes total sense. The next morning, Gumball is still fuming, and when he finally confronts Darwin, he accuses him of stealing Penny. Darwin's response? Dude, It was just a dream. But Gumball, he's not letting this go. In Gumball's mind, Darwin has already crossed the line. Ultimate betrayal. No coming back. And here's where things start getting genuinely unsettling. Instead of calming down, Gumball dives even deeper into his delusions. The episode slowly starts to feel like he's mentally unraveling, like he's slipping away from reality. So naturally, Gumball comes up with a genius-level plan to test Penny's loyalty. He offers her 2 cupcakes, one blue, one orange, clearly expecting her to pick the blue one because, well, he's blue. Duh. But Penny chooses the orange one. Devastated, Gumball reacts like a total maniac and shoves the blue cupcake into her mouth to prove a point. Huge mistake. Turns out Penny's allergic to the color blue. Now Gumball's got another problem. He has to choose between giving her the orange pills or the blue pills to cure her reaction. And of course, he blindly grabs the blue ones, without realizing they're actually thumbtacks. Yep, he just doomed himself. To finally squash this dream-fueled drama, they build a machine that lets them enter each other's dreams and settle the conflict once and for all. Only, their dreams are deeply messed up. And when they finally get synced into the same one, Gumball sabotages it by replacing Penny's face with Sussy. Now Darwin's mad, and the cycle starts again. At this point, the horror isn't even about the dreams. It's about how one irrational thought can spiral out of control and destroy everything. Gumball finally comes to his senses. Darwin never tried to steal Penny. The truth is, he sabotaged his own relationship over a dumb dream. He let a figment of his imagination ruin everything. Now that's dark, but let's move on, because we're officially in the top 5. And if you thought things were already twisted, oh, you've seen nothing yet. At number 5, we've got The Scam. This one kicks off with Miss Simeon hosting a Halloween-themed show and tell. The kids bring in the usual stuff: costumes, props, spooky masks. Then Gumball walks up and decides to take things in a very different direction. He starts spinning a creepy tale about Gargath, some ancient demon banished to the underworld. The twist? If you say his name too many times, he comes back. And of course, because Gumball's a menace to society, he says Gargath over and over, like 20 times. That's when weird stuff starts happening. Chairs float, lights flicker, everyone in class starts panicking. But here's the twist, it's all fake. Turns out this entire haunting was staged by Gumball, Darwin, and their friend Carrie. And since Carrie's literally a ghost, she's the one pulling off the spooky effects. Meanwhile, the boys are using the fake haunting as cover to scam their classmates out of Halloween candy. It's devious, it's brilliant, it's pure Gumball chaos. Everything is going according to plan. Carrie spooks the school, while Gumball and Darwin show up dressed as paranormal investigators, pretending to banish the evil spirit. Genius. Terrifying. Hilarious. The terrified kids fall for the act and start handing over their candy like it's ghost insurance. Gumball and Darwin are raking in sweets like they just hacked Halloween itself. Even Darwin, who felt a little guilty at first, goes all in, mostly because he's trying to impress Carrie. Classic. At this point, they think they've pulled off the ultimate con. Until they summon Gargath. For real. And no, this time it's not Carrie behind the haunting. Suddenly, a massive shadowy figure with glowing red eyes and an endless appetite for candy, or maybe souls, emerges from the darkness. Gumball and Darwin immediately freak out. They scammed their way into this mess, but now they've got no way to scam themselves out. In a desperate move, they try offering candy to appease the demon. But Gargath isn't satisfied. He wants more. They dump every last piece of candy they collected, but it's still not enough. And then, Carrie steps forward. She offers herself as a bride to the demon. Yes, you heard that right. She agrees to marry a candy-devouring nightmare monster to save everyone else. But just before the creepy wedding can be sealed, Gumball finds one last piece of candy. He hurls it at Gargath, and boom! The demon explodes into a puff of sugary doom. Crisis averted. Scam complete. Everyone's safe. But honestly, at what emotional cost? And now, we move on to number 4. This next episode doesn't just dip into the dark side, it shreds reality itself and leaves us with one of the most unsettling cliffhangers in Gumball history. It's the disaster. And it starts off way too cheerful, which in Gumball world means something awful is about to go down.